Hey y'all, it's Sam, and it is time for my March TBR. So, for those of you who have not watched one of my TBR videos this year, I do a little TBR game with this picture. I have a bunch of prompts in here, and I just choose a certain number of them, and then I choose books based on those prompts for the month. So, I do have some rules based on the game, just to kind of organize it a little bit. So I write them down because I forget them every single time. Rule number one is that I choose X number of prompts. Then that can be a different number every month. We started with 5 in January. We did 7 in February. So I basically just kind of look at my month and see what I have going on and how busy I think I'm going to be and how chaotic I think things are going to be and kind of how I'm feeling at the beginning of the month to see how many books I'm going to choose. Rule number 2 is if I choose the same prompt twice, I have to add another book. So that did happen in February. I was supposed to read 7 books, and then I chose the same prompt twice, so I ended up having to read 8. Rule number 3 is that I have to choose for my physical TBR first, and then my library second, and then buying books third. Rule number 4 is that I can't switch out books once I've chosen them. So once I assign a book to a prompt, I can't just like change my mind later and try to fit it somewhere else. Once I commit, it's done. Rule number 5 is that if I DNF a book, I have to get rid of it, which so far has been super simple. When I DNF a book, I generally don't go back to it. And if I don't finish my TBR, I have to add a book, which is fine. So far, I finished it every time. So it is only February 19th, but I'm filming this because I looked halfway decent and that hasn't happened in a while. But I only have one more book on my TBR and I'm over halfway through it, so I know I'll finish it. So I did finish, or will have finished, my February TBR by the end of the month, and I'll have a wrap up coming out for that. It might even come out before this video comes out. We'll see. If it is out, I will link it below. If it's not, it's coming. So if you saw my February TBR, it was intense. It was 8 books, which doesn't seem like a lot to me after I read 17 books in January, but they were all very large. Most of them were fantasy romance books and very large, very intricate books. So I'm kind of hoping that for March we have some smaller books, some books that are less of a commitment and less of an emotional toll is kind of what we're hoping for. We're kind of hoping for like a slightly lighter month, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I think for March we're going to go with 8 books. I did 5 in January, 7 in February, and then ended up having to read 8 because I chose one twice. So I think for March, since I'm hoping to get some smaller books in there, I think we're gonna go with 8 and see how that goes. So 8 books for March. Let's go ahead and get started. Of course, absolutely, this would happen. This would be the first one that I choose. Intimidating. A book that intimidates me. That's the exact opposite of the light reading I was hoping for March. All right, cool. Okay, I know what I'm gonna read. I actually don't have it. I do own it. I bought it. It just hasn't come in the mail yet, but it's coming next week, so we're gonna count it. It intimidates me specifically because I'm very terrified that something bad is going to happen that's going to make me very upset. So I reread the first book this month. I'm ready for the second book, but I am nervous. So this does intimidate me. And that is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in her Crescent City series. I just reread the first one. It is still one of my favorite books of all time. I just cannot get over how incredibly amazing that book is, and the world building and the romance and just it's an urban fantasy thriller romance all in one. Like, it literally has every single thing that I love in a book. Like, every single thing that I love in a book is in that book, and it is incredible. And just, I'm so ready for book 2, but so scared for book 2. So that one is definitely intimidating. So I was gonna read that anyway, so honestly that's probably a good thing that I can fit it into one of these prompts. All right, so then book 2 is going to be Hyped Okay, so a book that is super hyped on either BookTube or BookTok or whatever. So I have a couple of things that I could think of for this that I have. And knowing that I'm kind of trying to keep March a little bit lighter, a few more standalones, a little bit less huge series. Okay, so this was hyped like not that long ago, so it counts. And that is The Hating Game. This is by Sally Thorne. I don't know everything about it. I know that it is super hyped on TikTok. I know that it's an enemies to lovers, and our two main characters work together, and they're up for the same promotion, and they hate each other, and so you've got like a workplace romance enemies to lovers thing going on, and it's supposed to be like a rom-com. So I'm here for it. I generally don't like workplace romances, but I do like enemies to lovers, and I do like rom-coms. So 2 out of 3. We'll see. I always tell my, like, a lot of these rom-com-y type books, I always think I'm not gonna like it, and then I do like it. So I don't have 5-star hopes for this, but I have like decent hopes for this. We'll see. All right, so book number 3 is going to be, oh, that's 2 stuck together. A favorite author. Okay, so favorite author. Normally this is where I would put Outlander, but I am about to finish the last Outlander book, so I could reread Outlander. Might give myself a little break before I reread Outlander. Let me go see what I got. Okay, I know what I'm gonna read. So technically this is a reread, but it's fine. And I'm gonna read Caraval. This is by Stephanie Garber. This is the only series I've ever read by her, but I know she's one of my favorite authors, and I do want to read other things that she has written. I don't even know if she's written anything else, to be honest, but I am really excited to read the spin-off to this series, Once Upon a Broken Heart, but it's been a couple of years since I've read Caraval, so I want to reread it. So basically this is me committing to 4 books this month instead of just this one, but it's fine. It's fine. It'll be okay. It's gonna be fine. So this is going to be book 2. If you have not read Caraval, this is a fantasy about 2 sisters, Scarlett and Donatella, and they are going to this like magical circus murder mystery carnival thing that is run by this very secret person named Legend, and nobody knows anything about him or really who he is or really how Caraval works. And the sisters get separated, and Scarlett teams up with this guy Julian to try and find her sister, but a lot of bad things are happening and they don't know who to trust and they don't know what they can believe because Caraval is kind of known for being not all real. So there's a lot of things happening that they're not sure if they're actually happening or if what they're seeing is real or if they can trust anybody that they're talking to. And it's so good. The first time I read the series, I read all 3 books in less than 24 hours. So I don't think I'm going to do that again with my work schedule, but I do think I'll fly through them again because I just really, really loved them the first time. All right, that's 3 books down. Let's keep going. I was kind of hoping for this one, but also kind of not hoping for this one, and I don't know how I feel about this at the moment. Okay, so graphic novels. So I only have 1 graphic novel that's not read, and I really want to read it, but I thought I was going to take a break from this particular series, but I guess I'm not, so let me go get it. So this is The Exile by Diana Gabaldon, which is an Outlander graphic novel. I guess it's Jamie's side of Outlander, and I'm extremely excited about this. So I guess we're not taking an Outlander break. It's fine. We don't need one. We really don't. I'm probably just going to read an Outlander book every single month for the rest of my life, if we're being honest. And I am okay with that. All right. It's 4 books down. 4 more to go. All right, something with a pretty cover. I got this one last month too, and it was kind of hard, actually. All right, let me think. Okay, so I think this cover's pretty. I think it might be more interesting than pretty, but it's gonna count. So this is A History of Wild Places. This was my book of the month pick for January, and I haven't read it yet. I think it's magical realism, which I don't really know what magical realism is, if we're being honest. I still just consider it fantasy, but I think this is like light fantasy. Like, I know it says something about fairy tales and stuff, but it's also kind of a thriller. We've got we had like an author of dark children's books who went missing, and then someone who had a talent for finding missing people went to look for her, and then he also disappeared. And then we have this like reclusive community that like people aren't allowed in and out of, and somebody who lives there finds one of the people's trucks, and then there's this whole mystery about what's happening to these people that are disappearing, what's up with this strange community, and apparently there's some sort of magical element to it, so I'm kind of excited. I have really wanted to read this book since I got it, so I think now is the perfect time to do it, and it's a standalone, so that's gonna be good. So far, other than Caraval and committing to that whole series pretty much, we're doing okay on as far as keeping it a little bit lighter this month. Alright, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, so now we need 3 more. Alright, something that is a new release. So for new release, I usually just consider something published like within this year to be a new release. It's only February 19th though, so that doesn't give me a lot of options, but I do think I have 1 or 2 that were published this year. Let me check. Okay, so this was the newest release that I could find that I have, and that is The Golden Couple. This is by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. And this was my February book of the month pick, so we're doing a lot of book of the month this month. But I know that this is a thriller. I think it's like a domestic thriller. We've got wealthy Washington suburbanites, Marissa and Matthew, and then Marissa's unfaithful, so then they've got like this veneer of perfection. Marissa wants to repair things for the sake of their son, but then enter Avery Chambers, who's a therapist who lost her professional license because of her unorthodox methods. So that was what drew me to it, was the unorthodox methods. I really want to know what is going on here, because it says that there's no longer simply a marriage that's in danger. So I am excited about this book and very, very curious. All right, book number 7. Stuck together again. Alright, so this is new to me author. So an author that I haven't read before. I definitely have a couple of those on my shelf. Let's see. Okay, so this one's gonna be really similar because it's another domestic thriller, and that is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. So this one follows Jack and Grace, and they are another couple like the other book. They are a very affluent family. He's an attorney, I think, and she's a homemaker, but they're inseparable. Like, Grace doesn't leave the house. She never answers the phone. She won't meet for coffee. There's like high security metal shutters on all the downstairs windows. So I'm intrigued. I'm interested. And I've got a lot of thrillers sitting here now. Alright, so we have the last book. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 8. So hopefully this gets me something exciting, and hopefully I don't pick one that I've already chosen. I spoke too soon. Another hyped book. Cool, lovely, awesome. So now we're going for 9 books. All right, so another hyped book. And I'm dropping things. Another hyped book. Alright, we're gonna go with The Simple Wild for this one. This is by K.A. Tucker, and it follows Kala, and she was born in Alaska, but her mother couldn't handle the lifestyle there, so they left when she was like 2 years old, and she never saw her father. And now she's 26, and she found out that her father could be dying, so she goes back to Alaska to see him. And she also meets Jonah, who is an Alaskan pilot, and I think it's kind of like an enemies to lovers, or at least a Grumpy Sunshine dislike to lovers maybe type of thing. That slowly blossoms into more, but then they've got kind of this like she's not willing to stay in Alaska and he's not willing to leave Alaska kind of thing going on. I hope this is a happy ending because I don't actually know. And now that makes me a little bit nervous. Okay, well now we have to choose another one because we chose Hyped twice. Awesome, cool. Love that for me. Cool, awesome. So book number 9. Oh my god. Okay. Oh no. New release. So now we've chosen another prompt twice. Awesome, cool. Okay, so another new release, huh? There's probably an easier way to do this than to just start pulling books out and seeing when they were published. I can just look on my physical TBR shelf on Goodreads and sort them. That would, okay. Publication year. Alright, that one's already on the TBR. Those two are sequels. That's a sequel. Okay, so I don't have anything else published in 2022. So now I have to decide if I want to just take something published in 2021 and call it a new release because it's the newest release I have, or if I want to find something that actually was released in 2022. Let me see what I have on my not owned TBR just out of curiosity. I don't actually really have anything on there for 2022 either. Okay, so we're just gonna go with the newest release that I currently have, which is another thriller. So clearly we have a theme for this month. Last month was fantasy romance, this month is thrillers. Alright, so this is The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. I don't remember anything about it. I read it, it sounded interesting. Like the blurb sounded interesting when I bought it, but now I don't remember what it's about. So we have Tallulah and Zach in an English suburb head out to a bar for the first time since they had their infant son. They are 19. So then they don't make it home the next morning. So Tallulah's mother, Kim, struggles to piece together what happened that night. Her friends are all dodging the questions. Zach's mom doesn't seem concerned. She thinks that the pair ran away to escape their parental responsibilities, but Kim had just found an engagement ring in Zach's coat pocket the day before. And then a year later, the case runs cold. A writer moves into a cottage that borders the same estate where the couple disappeared, which is known locally as the Dark Place, or the forest outside it is, apparently. And she stumbles upon a mysterious note that simply reads, "Dig here." I'm intrigued. Now I remember why I bought it. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm actually kind of really excited about this one. This might be the first one that I read. Now I'm kind of sad that I started this a week before I can actually start the books. All right, well, we chose another one twice, so now we gotta go for 10. We're going for 10 books in March. I hope March is a chill month. I can't remember if I chose this one twice. I should have kept track of exactly what I was choosing. Okay, back up. So we had, what was this prompt? Oh dear, oh dear. I should start writing these down. The Night She Disappeared was for new release. Okay, so we had new release. We had hyped. We had new to me author. We had also new release, and then we had graphic novel, we had favorite author, another hyped, and then A History of Wild Places was what? Oh, pretty cover. Okay, so I haven't had this one yet. I think I had it last month. Okay, so this is highest rated. All right, so highest rated on my physical TBR, that is not a sequel. Average rating. Sequel, 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 sequel. Already on my TBR. Sequel, sequel, sequel. Sequel, 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 already on my TBR. Oh dear. Okay, so I had to scroll down very far to find something that wasn't a sequel, and it is another thriller. Yay. Alright, so this is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I read Lock Every Door last month and didn't really care for it all that much, so I'm not going into this with overly high hopes, but we're gonna give it a shot. So this book follows Maggie Holt and her parents. They moved into Bainbury Hall 25 years ago in Vermont, and then 3 weeks later they fled in the dead of night, and then they wrote a book. So today Maggie is a restorer of old homes. She doesn't remember any of the events in her father's book, but she also doesn't believe any of it. So she inherits Bainbury Hall after her father dies, and she decides to renovate it. But her homecoming is anything but warm. Locals aren't thrilled that their town has been made infamous by her father, and the actual house is strange. Cool. All right, I'm intrigued, but I was also intrigued by the last one, and it had similar vibes, and I didn't like it. So we'll see how this one goes. All right, so those are the 10 books that I'm gonna read in March. That is a lot of thrillers, but they're all smaller books and most of them are standalones, so that is significantly less scary than where we were at in February, and I managed to get through February just fine. So I'm kind of excited. A little bit sad that I have to wait a whole week, but I do still have books to finish this week for February, so this will be good. But if you want to see other TBRs or wrap-ups or any of that stuff, I will link January and February below, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!
Oh my love, you're such a fragile thing, I know. And with the wind